So you've got $1,000 sitting in your bank account right now, and every time you look at it, you think to yourself, this isn't enough to actually do anything with. Maybe you've thought about investing it, but then you go online, you see people talking about needing $10,000 or $50,000 to start building real wealth, and you just close the tab. You tell yourself you'll start investing when you have more money, when things are more stable, when you finally figure it all out. Here's the thing, though. That mindset is exactly what's keeping you from ever reaching $1 million. And I know that sounds dramatic, but I'm about to show you the actual math that proves why that single $1,000 might be the most important money you ever invest in your entire life. My name is Richo, and I spend way too much time thinking about why regular people with regular incomes stay broke while others quietly build massive wealth doing basically the same things. If you're someone who feels like you're working hard, making decent money, but somehow never getting ahead financially, like you're running on a treadmill that goes nowhere, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Look, we need to talk about something that nobody wants to admit. According to a 2024 survey from Bankrate, 56% of Americans couldn't cover a $1,000 emergency with their savings. 56%! But here's what's even crazier. Of the people who could cover it, most of them are just letting that money sit in a regular savings account earning maybe 0.5% interest, while inflation is running at 3 to 4% annually. You know what that means? Their money is literally getting less valuable every single year. It's like having ice cubes that you're just watching melt. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Richo, but $1,000 isn't enough to make a real difference anyway. And that's where you'd be completely wrong. Because this isn't about the $1,000. This is about what happens when you understand how compound growth actually works and why starting early, even with tiny amounts, beats starting late with big amounts almost every single time. Here's what most people don't realize about index funds and compound growth. Let's say you take that $1,000 right now and you put it into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. Historically, the S&P 500 has returned about 10% annually over the long term. Some years it's up 25%, some years it's down 15%, but the average over decades is around 10%. So you invest your $1,000, and then, this is the key part, you add just $200 every single month. That's it. No crazy stock picking, no day trading, no cryptocurrency gambling, just $200 a month into a boring index fund. After 1 year, you've got about $3,570. Okay, not life-changing yet. After 5 years, you're sitting at $16,310. Now it's getting interesting. After 10 years, $41,790. That's a down payment on a house. After 20 years, $152,000. That's more than most people have saved for retirement at age 50. But here's where it gets really interesting. After 30 years, with that same $1,000 start and $200 monthly contributions, you're looking at $452,000. And if you bump that monthly contribution up to just $300, which, by the way, is totally doable as your income increases over 30 years, you hit $1,070,000. $1 million from a $1,000 start and consistent monthly investments that equal about $10 a day. Now, I can already hear what you're thinking. 30 years, Richo? I don't want to wait 30 years to be a millionaire. And look, I get it. I really do. This is the exact psychological trap that keeps people poor. We live in a world of instant gratification. You can order food and have it at your door in 20 minutes. You can watch any movie ever made right now. You can buy something online and get it tomorrow. So the idea of waiting 30 decades for your money to grow feels completely insane. But here's the brutal reality. You're going to be alive 30 years from now anyway. The question isn't whether time will pass. The question is whether you'll arrive at that future date with $1 million or with nothing. According to the Federal Reserve's 2023 survey of consumer finance, the median retirement account balance for Americans aged 55 to 64 is $185,000. That's people who are about to retire, and they've got less than $200,000 saved. Meanwhile, if they had just started with $1,000 at age 25 and contributed $200 a month, they'd have that $452,000 I mentioned earlier. The difference? starting. Just starting. So why am I specifically talking about index funds and not like individual stocks or real estate or starting a business? Here's the thing about index funds. They remove almost all of the ways you can screw this up. When you buy an S&P 500 index fund, you're buying tiny pieces of 500 of the largest companies in America. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Nvidia, all of them. You're not betting on one company, you're betting on the entire American economy. And historically, betting on the American economy has been one of the smartest bets you can make. Even with the Great Depression, World War II, the dot-com crash, the 2008 financial crisis, COVID, through all of it, the S&P 500 has trended upward over time. Now, compare that to stock picking. A study by Dalbar from 2023 found that the average investor earned about 3.6% annually over the last 20 years, while the S&P 500 returned 9.8% annually. Why the massive difference? Because people panic sell during crashes. They buy high out of FOMO. They hold losers too long and they sell winners too early. They let their emotions destroy their returns. Index funds fix this. You're not making decisions. You're not trying to time the market. You're just consistently buying and holding. It's boring, it's simple, and it works. But here's what really separates the people who build wealth from the people who don't. And this is something most finance gurus won't tell you because it's not sexy. It's not about finding the perfect investment. It's not about beating the market. It's about developing the psychological discipline to keep investing when everything in your brain is screaming at you to stop. Let me paint a picture. It's March 2020. COVID just shut down the world. The stock market crashes 34% in like 3 weeks. Your $20,000 portfolio is now worth $13,000. You log into your investment account and you feel physically sick looking at those red numbers. Every bone in your body wants to sell. Every news headline is talking about the end of the economy. Your coworker tells you he pulled all his money out and at least saved what he could. The person who becomes a millionaire, they keep investing that $200 a month. Or better yet, they invest more because stocks are on sale. The person who stays broke forever, they panic, they sell, they lock in their losses, and they never get back in because they're waiting for things to feel safe again. By December 2020, the market had fully recovered. By 2021, it hit all-time highs. The person who panic sold missed the entire recovery. This happens over and over and over again. A study by Charles Schwab analyzed investor behavior during market downturns and found that investors who stayed invested through the 2008 financial crisis recovered all their losses within 5 years. Those who sold and tried to time their entry, many never fully recovered their wealth. Okay, so let's get tactical. How do you actually do this? Step 1. Open a brokerage account. I'm talking Vanguard, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, any of the major low-cost brokers. This takes like 15 minutes. You'll need your social security number and bank account info. That's it. Step 2. Invest that initial $1,000 into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. At Vanguard, that's VTI or VOO. At Fidelity, it's FXAIX. At Schwab, it's SWPPX. These funds have expense ratios of like 0.03%, which means you're paying basically nothing in fees. For every $10,000 you invest, you're paying $3 a year. Compare that to actively managed funds that charge 1% or more. That difference compounds massively over 30 years. Step 3. Set up automatic monthly investments. This is absolutely critical. You need to remove yourself from the equation. On the day after you get paid, have $200 automatically transferred from your checking account into your brokerage account and invested into that same index fund. You never see it, you never touch it. It just happens. Step 4, and this is the hardest one. Don't look at it obsessively. I'm serious. Check it maybe once a quarter to make sure the automatic investments are working, but that's it. The more you look at it, the more likely you are to make emotional decisions that will destroy your returns. Now, you might be thinking, but Richo, what if the market crashes right after I invest? Great question. Here's the thing. Market crashes are not bugs. They're features. They're going to happen. In fact, the stock market has a major correction, a drop of 10% or more, about once a year on average. And a bear market, a drop of 20% or more, happens roughly every 3 to 4 years. But here's what the data shows. The best time to invest is always right now. A Vanguard study looked at investors who tried to time the market versus investors who just invested immediately whenever they had money. Over a 10-year period, the people who invested immediately outperformed the market timers 66% of the time. You know why? Because markets go up more often than they go down. You're more likely to miss gains by waiting than you are to avoid losses. But what if I need that money for an emergency? That's why you have an emergency fund first. Before you invest a single dollar, you need at least $1,000, ideally 3 to 6 months of expenses, sitting in a high-yield savings account for emergencies. That's your safety net. Once you have that, then you start investing money you won't need for at least 5 years, preferably decades. But what about buying a house? Shouldn't I save for a down payment? Yes, but here's the thing. You can do both. If you're planning to buy a house in the next 5 years, keep your down payment savings in a high-yield savings account or short-term bonds. That's money you need to be safe. But simultaneously, invest whatever you can for long-term wealth building. The mistake people make is choosing one or the other when you should be doing both. Here's what nobody tells you about this strategy. It starts slow, but it accelerates like crazy. In the first few years, your returns are mostly from your contributions. You're putting in $200 a month, maybe making $500 a year in market gains. It doesn't feel that exciting. But by year 10, you've got about $42,000 in there. Now, a 10% annual return is $4,200 in a single year. Your money is making more than your monthly contributions. By year 20, you've got $152,000. A 10% return is $15,200 a year. Your investments are now earning more than you're contributing, by a lot. By year 30, you've got over $450,000. A 10% return is $45,000 in a year. Your money is making more in a single year than many people earn working full-time jobs. This is the power of compound growth. It's exponential, not linear. Einstein allegedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world, and while that quote is probably fake, the principle is absolutely real. Look, here's what this really comes down to. Most people see investing as this complicated, risky thing that's for rich people or finance nerds, but the actual truth is that not investing is the risky move. Every year you wait, you're losing the most valuable resource you have, time. You can always make more money, but you can't make more time. A dollar invested at age 25 is worth way more than a dollar invested at age 45, even though it's the exact same dollar. According to calculations by financial planners, every decade you delay investing roughly cuts your final retirement wealth in half, assuming you're contributing the same amounts. That's not because the investments perform differently, it's purely because of time. So when you say, "I'll start investing when I have more money," what you're really saying is, "I'm willing to give up hundreds of thousands of dollars in future wealth because I don't want to deal with this right now." And when you put it that way, it sounds kind of insane, right? Let me tell you about two people. Person A starts investing $200 a month at age 25 and does it for 10 years, then stops. They never add another dollar. Person B waits until age 35, then starts investing $200 a month and continues until age 65, 30 years of contributions. Person A contributed $24,000 total over 10 years. Person B contributed $72,000 total over 30 years, 3 times as much money. Who has more at age 65? Person A has about $472,000. Person B has about $452,000. Person A invested for 1/3 the time, contributed 1/3 the money, and ended up with more. That's the power of starting early. Those first 10 years of compound growth did more heavy lifting than 30 years of later contributions. This is why that initial $1,000 matters so much. It's not about the $1,000. It's about starting now instead of later. Here's the bottom line.
The path from $1,000 to $1 million isn't complicated. It's not about finding secret investments or beating the market or having special knowledge. It's about doing something incredibly simple that most people aren't willing to do, starting with whatever you have right now and staying consistent for decades. So here's what I want you to do. If you have that $1,000 sitting around, open a brokerage account this week. This week, not next month, not when you figure things out. This week. Invest that $1,000 into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund, set up automatic monthly investments of whatever you can afford, even if it's just $50 to start, and then leave it alone. 30 years from now, you'll look back at this moment as one of the most important financial decisions you ever made. Or you'll look back and wish you had started. The choice is yours, but the clock is ticking. If this video helped you understand how powerful, simple, consistent investing can be, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe because I make videos breaking down exactly how money works and why most people get it completely wrong. Drop a comment and let me know. Are you going to start this strategy or what's holding you back?